Hi fam and welcome to a new video. Today we are sitting in a different location just because I thought we'll like spice it up a bit and not always sit in my room when I film. So yeah, there you have it. We are sitting in the living room. But today I will talk to you about my March TBR. March, I have some fun reading plans. It is historically Women's History Month, or a month in which Women's Day comes in. So a lot of people try to read a lot of women's literature. I anyway kind of do that, I think, but I am going to be focusing on reading like 95% women's literature. It would have been 100 if it weren't for a book club that I want to also like read their pick for, and that is Books and Lala or Kayla's Literary Dead book club, in which in the month of March they are going to be reading House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielski. And this is a book that I've had on my shelf for a really long time. I bought this on a whim when this book was like really low. Like I think this book is worth way more, and I got it for a really like freaky price sort of situation, you know what I mean? So yeah, this book is really weird. Like it's really strange. There are parts of this book that like where the book pages are completely blank. There are parts where like it's a really weird, I don't know, it's a really weird book where like there are parts of it that you have to read in with the mirror, like you have to read the book in the mirror. And it's just like, I don't know, it's stuff like this. I don't know. I'm gonna show you what it looks like in a B-roll. But yeah, this is a sort of book that I feel like I need to discuss with people while reading it, and I feel like that journey would be really interesting. So this is a book that I am by a man that I wish to read in March, but the rest of them I think are by women. So cool beans. Now, the next book that I'm going to be reading is part of my book club, which is the Consciousness Raising book club, and that is Hunger by Roxane. I have not spoken to you guys about the Consciousness Raising book club, but I feel like I should. So uh, I will do that in another video, but and explain the whole thing to you. But if you want to read this book, which is Hunger by Roxane in the month of March, then like let me know. You can message me on Instagram, and I will direct you to the place where we are doing that. But this is essentially Roxane Gay, who is an absolute queen, her memoir, where she talks about her body and just growing up, I guess. And yeah, I've heard great things about it, and I feel like there are going to be some really interesting conversations that come about from this. So I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, if you're interested in reading it and discussing it with us, then do message me on Instagram, and I will direct you to the place where we are discussing it. Cool. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have a really intense book tracker, which I can link for you, where a video where I describe the entire thing. But essentially, I saw that I have not really read too many books from across the world, and that is something that I'm hoping to do. And I'm also hoping to read a lot more translated literature. So, in the month of March, I thought that I would start this new thing called Around the World in 8 Books, wherein essentially I choose 8 books from across the world, and in this edition I will be reading books by women and books that are translated. So the next few minutes I'm going to be talking about the 8 books that I chose for this edition. I will be vlogging this as well, just to talk to you about those books and all of that sort of stuff. So let's just get to it. And for the first book, we are in India, and for that I'm going to be reading this one, which is An Educated Woman in Prostitution. And this is a memoir which is set in 1920s, wherein this woman who was from an educated, wealthy family, basically eloped with someone, and then this person basically like ditched her when she got pregnant. So she had no way to kind of make a life for herself, because her family had kind of forsaken her and she had no other way to make money, so she got into prostitution, and then she wrote this book, which was then translated by Arunava Sinha, and I've heard really good things about it, so I am very excited to read this one. For the second book, we go to Indonesia, where I will be reading this book called Apple and Knife. This is a book by Intan Paramadia, and it is translated by Stephen someone. Stephen J. Epstein, and this is essentially short stories and horror short stories, and that is all I know. But I've heard good things about it, and I love Indonesia, and I want to discover more literature from the country. Hence, if you have any recommendations, do let me know. But yeah, this is the second book that I plan to read. For the third book, we are going to Japan, for which we are reading Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. Why am I saying we? It is me. But essentially, this book is a short book, which the synopsis doesn't really give too much, but essentially it says that there is a girl who is drinking somewhere, and then she meets her old high school teacher, and she doesn't remember his name, so she calls him Sensei, and I think they start hanging out, but it doesn't really say anything post that, so I don't really know where this is gonna go. But given Japan and all the weird literature that comes from it, I'm assuming it's gonna get a little weird, but time will tell. I will let you know what I think. For the fourth stop, we are stopping in Europe, and for the first country that we are stopping in there is Hungary, and for that I have this one, which is The Door by Magda Szabo, and essentially this book is said to be a fictionalized sort of memoir, but it is of her relationship, or a writer's relationship, with their housekeeper, and it basically follows 20 years of that relationship, where we get to know more about the writer but also the housekeeper and all of that sort of stuff. I've heard that it is really moving and really sweet, and this was actually a book that was chosen for me by the BookTube spin. I have an entire video about books that I wanted to read for the BookTube spin, which were essentially 20 translated books from across the world. So if you want to check out more translated literature, you can check out that video, which I will link for you up and down. Yay! And then we go off to Poland, where I'm going to be reading Carolina and the Torn Curtain by Maryla. I do not know how to say this surname. And this is essentially like a cozy mystery, which follows like this one heiress, I think, whose like house help dies, and she tries to solve how she died and like the murder and all of that sort of stuff. And I got this as an arc on NetGalley, so I'm excited to read it and see what comes out of it. Cool. And then we go off to Africa, and this is the only book that I kind of found. So if you have any other translated literature from Africa by women, and any other suggestions which are available in India, do let me know, because I am really looking out for suggestions. But for this one, I have chosen Three Strong Women by Mary Ndie, and this is about, let me tell you what it's about. So this says that this is basically about three women who say no. There is Nora, who is a French-born lawyer who finds herself in Senegal, who is summoned by her estranged and tyrannical father. And then there is Fanta, who leaves a modest but contented life as a teacher in Dakar to follow her white boyfriend back to France. And then there's Kadi, who is a penniless widow put out by her husband's family with nothing but the name of a distant cousin who lives in France. And yeah, so this book would essentially go between France and Senegal, and sounds interesting. So I am interested to see where this goes. But yes, if you have any recommendations, please do leave them down in the description for me. And then we're off to Mexico, where we are going to be reading, why do I keep saying we? It is me. I am going to be reading Hurricane Season by Fernando Melchor, and this is a book that I'm really excited to read, but I don't really know too much about, and I don't want to know too much about. But essentially it's said to be witchy and it's horror, so I feel like I don't really want to know too much about it, but I will link the description and like link to the Goodreads or the Storygraph down below in the description for you to check out if you want to know more about this. And then the last stop is Argentina, where we are going to be. Why am I saying we? Where I am going to be reading Mouthful of Birds by Samantha Schweblin. And this is again short stories, which are fantastical, weird, horror. Again, I don't really know too much. The synopsis also in the back doesn't really say too much. So that's just where we're going to go with. But I've heard really, really good things about Samantha Schweblin, so I can't wait to actually start reading her. Apart from those, I also plan to read the three Brown sister books, which is Get a Life Chloe Brown, Take a Hint Danny Brown, and Act Your Age Eve Brown. So I haven't read any of these two, which have already been out and are highly like spoken about on BookTube. But the third book, which is Act Your Age Eve Brown, is coming out in like the second week of March, and I plan to make like a whole like day of it where I read all these three books. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. It essentially follows these three sisters and how they kind of find love and themselves, and I don't know what it really, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, that's basically what it is. And then I also plan to read Redefining Realness by Janet Mock. This is a memoir of Janet Mock as a trans woman and what that is like. And just I've heard really, really good things about it, so I am really excited to read that. Apart from this, I am also going to be reading what a book that I'm currently reading, which is A Little Life by Hana Yanagihara. So I will have a vlog out for this soon. I am currently recording it, so that's great. But yeah, so far I am almost midway, and it has destroyed me in some ways, but also not really yet. So I don't quite know where I am, but yeah, that's that. And then the last book that I hope to kind of just be reading throughout this month is 400 Souls: A Community History of African Americans, which is written by 90 people, but is edited by Ibram X Kendi and Keisha and Blaine, and it's a book that I have on as an audiobook thanks to Libro FM. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that, because I've also heard that it is narrated by a huge cast. So I think that is going to be really, really interesting. Essentially, it's going to be like a story written by various Black writers, which catalogs the history of African Americans, and that's basically it. And I just think that that is really, really interesting, and I look forward to it. So that is the end of my TBR. I hope that this was interesting for you. If you want any dedicated reviews, please do comment down below and I will help you out, though I will be vlogging a lot of these books, most of these books I think, actually. So I don't know what sort of dedicated review you want apart from these vlogs, but happy to help in any way. And let me know what you're reading, what you're excited about, and that's about it. I will see you in my next video. Bye.